The Browns make a trade, and it's a big one. We'll dive into that. The combine is over. I got a new combine crush, folks. Okay? Receivers, offensive line, defense. Where are the Browns going to go? I got a special draft expert to talk about all that. Let's get to the show.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast with Andy McNamara, the sickest Cleveland Browns podcast.
Chubb runs, he's to the 10, 15, he's to the 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. There goes Chubb, he's to the 30, 20, 10, 5, touchdown, Chubba Lubba Hub.
It's gonna be sick.
Welcome, everybody. We're cooking already. Andrew Berry, GM of the Browns. Okay, combine's done. No rest. He's wheeling. He's dealing. As are we on the Sick Podcast with Andy McNamara. Make sure you are clicking subscribe. Notifications on. This is the time of year you want to make sure you are tuned in, dialed into this channel. Follow us on socials as well, on X, at SickPodBrowns, at AndyMC81. I got loads of content coming out on the sporting news, reaction, and action here on the channel as well. YouTube Shorts popped up for the wide receiver group from the combine, so check that out. Instagram and TikTok as well at AndyMC Sports as we lead up to my favorite time of the year, and it's the draft. And that first step to the draft is the NFL combine. But the wheeling and dealing from Andrew Berry, because going into this combine, Browns have the 6th and 24th overall pick, of course. It was all right. You got 0 offensive linemen signed who were starters last year. They're all potentially gone or potentially gone. So you got to address that. Your wide receiver group was an absolute joke, and your production sucked, and you were the second last team, the second fewest points scored per game. You needed to jack that up. Big part of why you got Todd Monken. So receivers and offensive line were a big focus of mine. Well, Andrew Berry went back, and I saw the trade with the Houston Texans, and I think I got a little PTSD there. I'm sure all you Browns fans do as well when you see the Houston Texans, and it's like, oh no, not another Watson deal. Did we get fleeced again? No. You got Tytus Howard, starting right tackle. Okay, Jack Conklin is gone. He's been gone for about 2 years. It seems like he's never on the field. You get Tytus Howard for a 5th-round pick. Now, the reason is, because I've been asked, it's like, oh, well, why'd they give up so few? Is he no good? No, he's real good. But he was due an extension, and the Texans were drafting, wanted to get younger. He's 29 years old, still in his prime, right? But wanted to get a little younger and didn't want to pay that extra money. Browns took that in, gave him an extension, and you give up a 5th-round pick, and now, boom, you got your starting right tackle. Book it. And what's most impressive to me, guys, the last 2 years, each season, he's played 16 games. Has Jack Conklin played 16 games in 3 years? Never mind in consecutive seasons. So you got checkmark right tackle. That means you could have DeJuan Jones as a swing if you're able to draft a left tackle and have him sort of in between, maybe compete for left tackle. And then you address the other positions there. We'll get into all that. Some really good guards I like to. Got my combine notes, making notes all weekend long. We're cooking with it. But Tytus Howard coming to the Browns. Love this deal. Locks down one spot and a big one for the Browns. Now, we got to bring in my guy. He is as tuned in as anybody to the NFL draft and the NFL combine. He watches it and loves it as much as I do. It's John Vogel from Draft Vogel Consulting on the line. He's wearing some Cleveland Browns, a burnt orange. You're looking good, buddy. How are you?
Great, man. Thanks for having me.
Good. I think those might be more Tennessee colors, more Jimmy Haslam ownership colors, eh? Tennessee.
Yeah. We can roll with that. Absolutely, we'll roll with that. No, it's the Under Armour stuff is unmatched. With maybe the rare exception, because I don't have a sweatshirt yet for him, but Homage makes some really comfortable stuff too.
I love Homage.
Yeah, the Under Armour stuff. If I don't have a Homage stuff clean, if I don't have any Homage stuff clean, it's Under Armour all the way.
Looking slick, brother. Okay, let's talk about this combine. And as always, there's reaction, overreaction to measurements and drills and this and this. From your standpoint, big picture, who are 1 or 2 guys that just leapt off the page to you? I got a couple of mine. Who is it for you?
I think Mike Washington Jr. out of Arkansas. Really impressed.
I wrote him down. Yep.
4'3", 340 at 6'1", 223 pounds. When you look at it for a size comparison, to basically match the size that Mike Washington has is Deonta Foreman. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The only difference is Deonta Foreman ran like a 4.67. This guy's running a 4.33 at that size. That is just absolutely insane. So I'm really excited to see how this helps him. He's a transfer from New Mexico State. His teammate Seth McGowan, who transferred to Kentucky, both of those guys were on that New Mexico State team a couple years ago, playing together, and they both had good days. McGowan, was a lot more athletic than I thought he was going to be. Jam Miller was great too. That's like a Devin Singletary clone, dude. I mean, he looks just like him. He's a tenth faster in the 40. And then when you look at the defensive side,
man, that's
so many guys. And this is one of the things with the combine that I've noticed over the last few years. If you're not going to test average or above average, you're most likely not going to test at the combine anymore. And these guys, they don't want to put that out there. They don't want to have that comp. They don't want to take all the social media stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So they just won't test if they're going to be at average or below. So that's why we see all these great performances, because all these guys have this time to get ready for it, get their techniques down, and go out there and they know they're going to produce something that's above average.
Yeah.
So that's typically what the combine ends up being at this point. But there were so many of them, dude.
Sonny Styles, oh my. Like,
yeah,
John, this is where you look at the combine. People say, oh, what do you take out of it? We take it when we watch it as part of the conversation, right? You add it to, and has you something to go back to and check and compare. But it also raises and drops draft stock. Sonny Styles, before the combine, was kind of people mocking him kind of in the 20s. Boy, John, I wouldn't be surprised if he's a top 10 guy now. He was outrageous.
It's the class. It's the class to be top 10, if you're a linebacker. And it's just because there's not a lot of top end guys at those typically high value positions. Mm-hmm. I think we'll see Jeremiah Love come off the board, top 10. I think we'll
good. Holy cow.
Yeah, he's so smooth. He's such a smooth, fluid, easy mover, great athlete. And then I think you'll see Arvell Reese made a lot of money. Mm-hmm. He's probably going to go second overall. And then, I think you still got Reuben Bain. You still got David Bailey in that conversation, top 10. Downs is going to be in that conversation. Yeah. Mwaga and Fano probably will be too, even though they're both right tackles. Mm-hmm. Those are the guys there. So there's still a couple dudes. There's a couple spots that are open. So it could go either way, man. I know somebody asked me this morning if Sadiq was going to go top 10. And I was like, man, I don't know. He's undersized. Great. Yeah, he's great, but he's undersized. And, it's like, he's going to be a glorified slot receiver, and we did this whole thing. If you get on social media right now, you're going to see everybody saying, oh, people say Kenyon Sadiq can't run block. And you're going to see a clip of him run blocking, and it's going to look good. But that's the thing is he's 6'3", 240 pounds. He can't do it consistently. You're going to get some good reps, but he's not a consistent guy. So are you going to spend a top 10 pick on a glorified big slot receiver? And that's kind of the question. Obviously, the testing was phenomenal. He broke the vertical record for tight ends at 43.5, just to be broke 2 players later by Eli Stowers out of Vanderbilt at 45. So like there were some insane athletes in this group, and it was a lot of fun.
It really was, and the other Styles brother Lorenzo, as a defensive back, he tested sensational. I want to get to the wide receivers here. To me, and then I'll take you through who their combine crushes out of this. I think this is a very deep WR2 draft for wide receiver here, John.
Agreed.
Where you can get good, like real good productive guys. First round, second round, maybe even third. But I feel Carnell Tate still, while not miles ahead, is still, I think it's Carnell Tate. We drop, and then you got a big chunk of guys. What do you think?
If we're talking wide receiver 1, yes. Yeah. Like a guy that could be the 1.
Yes.
And there's going to be some questions whether he's actually going to be the 1, right? And it's because I think he ran a 4.52. Mm-hmm. So it's like some teams had him closer to 4.46, and because nobody ever uses the actual, electronic measurement at the combine. except us in the media. We use it. But everybody else has got their own measurements and their own testing, and they use their own numbers. That's just how the combine rolls. So some teams do have them in the 4.4s, but you don't see him consistently separate. And I think that's kind of the thing. A lot of what he wins down the field are in these contested catch, going up high pointing the football situations. And that's great. But we've seen guys like this come before. And, Tate, I want to really like him. And I have the reservation where it's like he might be more of a lower tier starting one. And that's just because the lack of consistent separation, he's not really great through his breaks. And that's kind of what holds him up. And then there's going to be the speed. If you put one of these freaking corners, now that we're having all these corners running 4.3s left and right, you put somebody like that on them, they can stay with them in theory down the field.
And they're tall. They're tall. Yeah. Before it was like the 5'9" guy was zippy as a corner. Now you're getting 6 feet. I couldn't believe how many 6 feet or just above that corners and defensive backs I saw this week.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, and that's how it's becoming, right? There's a lot of speed that came out of this group. And it has been the last couple of years. So that position's getting faster. But I do agree with your overall assessment that the 2 is really what's really important in this class. There are a ton of 2s between, Lemon out of USC and Tyson out of Arizona State. And then you keep going down the list. You get to Jeremy Bernard and Casey Concepcion. And you could probably even make a case for Elijah Surratt being a 2.
Very productive in Indiana.
Right. And anywhere he's been, St. Francis, Pennsylvania, James Madison, it doesn't matter where he's been productive, so that's kind of the quest. I think that's really where the bulk of this position group is in the wide receiver 2. And if you have a 1 right now, you're in really good shape. If you need a 1, best of luck to you.
It's Carnell Tate for the Browns, who need a 1. Jerry Jeudy, real down year. We know he can pop, but very inconsistent. Todd Monken coming in, new offensive mind and fresh air to the Browns. Yeah. If the Browns have 6 and 24, if you don't take Tate at 6, he's not going to be there at 24. To you, is Carnell Tate, knowing that this Browns team and Andrew Berry has come out and said, we are going to invest heavily in the offense. He's done that already a bit with that trade for Tytus Howard. You're going to have possibly some fantastic defensive players right there looking at you, but you still got to score points. You had the defensive player of the year, Myles Garrett, and the defensive rookie of the year, Carson Schlesinger. You won 5 games. You need to score points. So for you, the Browns at 6, if Carnell Tate is there, is that the pick? It's a position of need, and he's the best receiver.
It's still a little rich for me. And I understand you've got Myles Garrett there. And I understand that last year you drafted Mason Graham, and I understand the need for offense. It's just when I look at the position and what's going to be available there, the potential to have, let's say Ruben Bain falls to 6.
Wow.
How do you pass on Ruben Bain? You know what I mean? In that position, because it's like
you trade down, maybe. I don't know.
Well, there's not going to be a lot of takers looking to move down. That's going to be one thing that you're going to see in this draft is not a lot of movement in the first round.
Right.
When we get past the first round, maybe at the end of the first round, there'll be a lot of movement. But what I'm looking at though, when I see this is the other opposite edge of Myles Garrett has always been suitable, but you've never had 2 premier guys.
Sure.
With Bain, he could play edge. You could slide him inside with Mason Graham and then bring another speed guy out there. And now you've got a NASCAR package, you've got a seriously good NASCAR package. And when I look at that fit and how well that would be, how well that would work, it's already a great defense. You know that the defense you're going to need some more, guys because Jim Schwartz isn't coming back.
Yeah. Rutenberg now.
So there's going to be a little difference there. I think Schwartz has a lot to do with that defense being so good. I couldn't pass on like a Ruben Bain sitting right there in my face. You know what I mean? Because the pass rush is so good. Myles Garrett is so good. If you can consistently make him get in these situations where he's one-on-one or even stack Ruben Bain next to him inside at the 3 tech, and now you've got Graham at the 1. Dude, that's unbeatable. You know,
with Alex Wright, who you extended, who you can
on
keep
the other
on that
side.
opposite side.
Yep.
Right now you got an unstoppable front seven. I hear what you're saying. And really, after this class, we'll get into the tackles in a moment where, unfortunately for the Browns who now need a left tackle, a lot of good right tackles, a lot deep guard class. I love the guards. Left tackle, not so much. I wanted to get to this wide receiver to you. My guy, combine crush. I think Denzel Boston cost himself a little bit with the testing. Look, and that's where you compare it to tape. In the games, he looks great. Not a good combine. The guy who I think made himself some money here, John, I got the other USC receiver, Jacoby Lane. He jumped 5 inches higher than Denzel Boston, who was a jump ball specialist. 40-inch vertical, 6'4" 3/8", 200 pounds. The hands, 10.5 inch, and ran a 4.47 second 40. Looked great in the gauntlet drill, natural hands. The only thing I read about him that's a kind of a negative is sort of when you're playing the game, struggled against some tough press, kind of struggled to separate a little bit there. Yeah. But Jacoby Lane, dude, if I can get him 3rd round, 2nd round, that changes the conversation of what you can do with those first picks. Maybe you take a Reuben Bain and then a different tackle or something. You know, if you feel you can get somebody like that. What are your thoughts on my guy, Jacoby Lane?
No, there's good stuff to work with, and this was kind of an issue within the USC offense all year that you saw was one receiver would have a great game, the other would be totally shut down. And it kind of went back and forth between Lemon and Lane. So Lane was kind of expected to be that, you know, that physical guy on the boundary. He also dealt with some injuries this year, right. You know, so that also hampered what we were able to see on tape. But, you know, when you talk about the size and all of those things and you compare him to what you have with, you know, Cedric Thornton right now, much better probably for your number 1. And if you could slide Judy back to the 2 and then use what's his face Bond in this out of the slot.
Yep.
You're feeling really good about that. And you could probably do that with a 2nd round pick.
And that's what I'm feeling that's why I don't want Mekhi Lemon. Not that he's not a good player, but I have a 5'11" guy in Judy. I have a 5'10" guy in Bond. I got a big dude in Cedric Tillman, 6'3", but he can't stay on the field. I still think there's some upside. I still think there is some upside with Tillman if he can stay healthy. I do like him. But if you can add somebody like a Lane, who knows, maybe 3rd round, I don't know. You know, like if you can add somebody in and around that 3rd and 2nd, it opens things up. But it's a very interesting play. He really popped off. Offensive line. Spencer Fano, I thought, John, looked like the best tackle on the field from the drill standpoint. Like everybody, I see always like the little choppy feet, which is fine. You can move. This guy seemed like he was floating. He was smooth. He was gliding like on ice. Like it was phenomenal. And then the knocks are his arms were a fraction of an inch shorter than they like. And he's a right tackle. Like I again, to your point, if he's sitting there, if I want him, I probably got to take him at 6. Am I going to pass up on an elite defender for a right tackle who I just traded for and try to convert him to left? Because you'd have to move Fano to the left side.
Not a great idea ever. You know, especially when you're dealing with a guy. I don't think Fano's ever played left tackle. You know, if you had a guy that's played it before, you could make that, you know, judgment call and say, well, based on the fact that he's done it before and he switched to right, we can make that projection that he can go back left, right? I don't see that with Fano, and it's because that's the other knock with him is he's not a great pass protector. As well as he moves, he doesn't have great reactive ability to handle those inside counters and stuff, and that's critical at the left tackle position. You know, we saw Will Campbell right in the Super Bowl. That's what we watched was the Seattle defense kept beating him with that inside counter, that speed to power, and he just couldn't anchor in time. And you're going to have that same sort of issue with Fano. I don't think that you want to try to switch him to the left side. And that's what sucks about this draft. There's not a good left tackle option to play right away. There's not. That's just going to drive the free agent market up even higher than it already is going to be. So, it's not a great one.
Is it? To me, the top 2 lefties would be Monroe Freeling, who's a bit. He was. It's unfortunate for him in his drills. He was slipping, like he had his shoes sucked or something. So it kind of jumbled him up a little bit. You can't really knock him for that. but very athletic. He's a left tackle. Then you got Caleb Lamu, the other Utah tackle, opposite Fano. But again, I'm with you. Like, are those like plug and play? Like, oh, I can set and forget for 10 years, guys?
No, they're not. They're not, and that's kind of the problem here. If you're going to go left tackle, you're going to have to figure out if you've got a guy inside that can slide out that you feel good with. And I'm not saying that anybody's thinking this way because I haven't talked to anybody and verified or anything, but I kind of feel Ione possibly could out of Penn State. He could potentially slide there. He's quick enough laterally. It wouldn't be great, but it would get you through, a year or two until you could get somebody in there and then slide him back into left guard. That would be somebody that I would look at, right? But
would he go 6? How high? Where are you thinking?
Wouldn't go 6. No, I wouldn't go 6. And that's the problem,
24?
right?
Can I get him 24? Or do I have to move up?
You're probably gonna have to move up. He's probably gonna go in between 10 and 20, and that's kind of the problem, right? So, the draft board's gonna have to fall perfectly. It's a really bad year to need a left tackle, though.
Boy, yeah. No, you're not wrong, and that's where I'm thinking maybe at 24 they get a Freeling or a Lamu and have him compete with DeJuan Jones, who's coming off of another leg injury, who played well when healthy, but can't stay healthy. So maybe you try to patchwork that a little bit, and you go free agency or trade for another center. Hopefully Bitonio comes back. The guard side we mentioned super deep, and I have to admit part of the love is for the ridiculous red mullet. Jennings Dunker, the darling of the combine. My God, this guy looks like a big old. This guy looks like he eats burgers and plays football. That's it. Like I give me this guy at guard all day long. What do you think of Dunker?
Yeah, and he's potentially a guy that could play tackle too. He slid out at the Senior Bowl. He slid out at the Senior Bowl, and he did it there too. I couldn't help but love the guy. It wasn't just the mullet and the mustache, right? It's the right here on the left shoulder. He's got Samson pushing the pillars down.
Oh, I mean, like that.
Dude, he inside he's got the old, Cho P, the Cho Z, I think is what it's called, the PX, and it looks like they're blades. I mean, like, this guy's badass, right?
Stud. Yeah.
But he's mean, he's physical, he's nasty, and he's athletic.
Yeah.
The testing isn't going to be with the top of the numbers, right? It's not the top of these guys, but the 40-yard dash doesn't matter as much as the 10-yard split.
Yes.
For them. The explosive abilities there, the lateral abilities there.
Moving the sled, getting the hands
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, getting in there with power, getting low,
powerful
engaging
hands.
People.
I was impressed.
Weird.
And he stayed low, right? Like he had good form. And he was powerful punch. I'm trying to piece this together for the Browns here. I don't want to be taken like you said, could slide up to tackle, probable guard. I don't want to take him at 24. Is that a second? Is he going to be second round? Now, maybe did he move up second, like third? I'd love, but I'm thinking he probably
I don't think
some money.
I don't know if you can't take that risk if you want him, thinking that he's going to be there in the third round. So that's where your wide receiver equation comes into a problem, right? Where it's like if we're spending the second round pick on the receiver, we're not going to get Jennings Dunker.
If I can get Dunker at 39, I'm kind of playing this out with you, just trying to figure this out. If I can get Dunker, who can go guard and maybe slide out if need be, and maybe have him at right guard, Bitonio comes back one more year, maybe then I think, okay, I'll take Tate. I'll reach with someone great there at defense, but I need it. Tate, tackle, Dunker, and off you go. Get something, and then as you go. Like that wouldn't be a bad draft, I think, for the Browns if you can sort of sort that situation out. Or maybe at defense somebody falls to you at 24 and you leave that spot wide open. Who knows?
Yeah. I still think if you've got Bain sitting there at 6, man, I can't pass. I cannot pass on that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got
Bain's gonna be Khalil Mack, dude. Like, that's gonna be the type of player he's gonna be, where he's gonna be an elite run defender. He's gonna be a really good pass rusher. And just a guy that you could set out there. And the arm length, everybody keps bringing that up. Oh, his arms are so short, blah, 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 blah. Dude,
right.
I was working this week, Friday. I drove up to Smyrna. We had the talk radio for Nashville station on. And this isn't even sports. This is just regular talk radio. They start talking about his Tyrannosaurus Rex arms.
Oh.
I walk in the gas station. The local newspaper has a front page story about his short arms. And I'm sitting there going,
wow.
What is going on here, dude? Like, this is insane. Like, I've never seen this type of coverage, but it's truly unprecedented. So that's the risk that you run with a Bane, right? Is if we take him, first round top 10, and for whatever reason he doesn't pan out, we're gonna look like we're the biggest idiots in the world.
Yep. Yes.
And everybody lives by this protect your desk mantra, right? Where you're working for your job.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people don't want to take that risk. But with me, I very firmly see a guy here. This is one of my pound the table guys. He's so technically sound.
Yes.
And that's what Mac has always been able to win with, is his technical ability, right? Bane can do it all. And I've got no doubt that it doesn't matter. His arms don't matter to me.
Right. Yeah, no, it's a good point. And Andrew Berry is going to be, extra sensitive about his position as well, somehow surviving, and Kevin Stefanski didn't. Going to be fascinating, John, because, of course, the next step now is free agency next week, and that's going to totally reshape what teams look for in the draft, depending on what you hit on there. So it's going to be a ton of fun, man. Tell people where they can find your great work coverage. You do such a good job, but really appreciate you coming on.
Well, here on the Sick Podcast Network, Draft Digest with Emily Van Buskirk. We break it down. We're going to get into our combine stuff this week. Got some good, got some good prospect interviews coming up. I don't want to tease too many, but maybe a KH Casey, maybe, some different people like that in the young. And then we've got, my stuff on Twitter, X, whatever we're calling it now. I think the forgotten step to the stepchild of social media. You draft at Draft Vogel. You can follow everything that I'm doing there. Most of my stuff goes there. And you can also see get access there for my guide.
Love it. And the guide, a must-have, folks. John, love you, buddy. Thank you so much for coming on.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Ian.
All right. There he goes. John Vogel. Make sure you get him on X, as he said, at Draft Vogel, Vogel. Tremendous follow. Great insight. Always love talking with John. He is dialed into this, man. And boy, there's so many opportunities for the Browns. Oh, my. I'll tell you a couple other names before we head out. On the offensive line, boy, was Spencer Fano as a left tackle. Oh, if you didn't see the combine, people laugh. You're watching the Underwear Olympics. That guy moves, man. But John rightly pointed out, not necessarily the power that you want there. I thought a nice guard, if you can't get Dunker, a consolation prize, 6'5", 315 out of Texas A&M, Chase Besantis. I think you can get him in the third round. So if you kind of miss on Dunker, you can get him. Slides easily, quick, compact footwork. I liked him a lot. Kane Proctor just looks like another DeJuan Jones to me. And DeJuan Jones can be good when healthy, but really big dude. Like really big. 6'8", right? Like DeJuan Jones, so I need two guys like that who maybe have some health issue or leg issues. I don't know. Pat Coogan caught my eye, struggled a little bit. And Monroe Freeling was slipping all over. I would say if you're the Browns, and again, free agency starts next week, that's going to be a big deal. To me, what this says with the extension money that they had to give to Tytus Howard, you're out on getting Rasheed Walker for the Green Bay Packers because he's going to cost you $20 million a year. And how this contract is going to be structured with Tytus Howard, that's probably what you got there. You still are going to be hampered by the Deshaun Watson salary cap situation, right? You can't have both. So I see free agency for the Browns probably going more so you get maybe another center to compete with Luke Whippler, who can't stay healthy, maybe another guard. Remember, too, we're going to know next week, March 13th, Joel Bitonio's future. Now, if he can do us a solid, Joel, we love you. If Joel Bitonio can stick around one more year, that saves the Browns a ton of trouble. Because then you got Tytus Howard locked in right tackle. Joel Bitonio locked in left tackle. You got Zach Zintner, who should be competing for one of the guard jobs, but we can't count on him. Floating around. And I think for the Browns, you look at that. You look at, okay, maybe add a safety. Probably going to add a low value linebacker. Maybe some sort of shot. Devin Bush. Would love to have Devin Bush back. He's going to price himself out. Had too good of a year. Phenomenal. Love to have that. That's going to be the problem. And then after free agency, and Andrew Berry could always make more trades, but after free agency, then we reassess. We'll reassess here on the show what we're really looking for. Couple other names. I told you that Jacoby Lane, guys. Well, if I get him in the third round, even in the second, depends, right? You can't get everybody. And the Browns still have 2 5th-round picks. Maybe they bundle. Drew Aller. I heard 5th, 4th-round pick. I heard after his combine, talk arm could be moving up to the 4th round. That's a bit rich for me. If I can get Drew Aller as a flyer in the 5th, not to redshirt, not to compete. Don't want to situate that, but to redshirt. Watson's gone after this year. If I'm going to take a flyer on a guy, don't give me a Ty Simpson. Nice kid. What's his elite trait? Nothing. 6'1" and a bit. Elite traits for Drew Aller, 6'5". He can move. He's got cannon arm. Elite traits. Now, can you put those all together? I don't know. That's why you use a 5th-round pick on. Might have to go to a 4th if you want to go that direction. But the Browns have so many needs. I don't know. And that's another thing in free agency. The safer route's probably just trying to bring back Tyler Huntley. Right? You need a veteran backup in case Watson can't stay healthy, which is a very real possibility. And if Shedeur Sanders gets hurt or can't do the job. I'm counting out Dylan Gabriel because he stinks. He's not an NFL quarterback. He's not. Sorry. Anyone who disagrees. He's not. Horrendous. One of the worst draft picks I've ever seen in the 3rd round. Dylan Gabriel. Disgusting. Still bothers me almost a year later. Other wide receivers. I like Colby Young. No one's talking about him out of Georgia. 6'3", 215. Really low production in college. Just 37 catches and 3 touchdowns in the last 2 years. But route running and hands look strong in the combine drills. Ran a 4.49 second 40. Intriguing late round flyer. That's like a 5th round guy, right? So you've got different options to add. Running backs, boy, some of the guys we talked about, like C.J. Donaldson, Ohio State too, Mike Washington. You're not going to spend a premium pick on those guys. And we'll talk about the linebackers, tight ends another day as we get closer to the draft because there's a lot of options that you can backfill in. Jacob Rodriguez, I thought, might have made himself some money. That, again, is probably someone you got taken the 2nd round. So there's only so many 2nd-round guys. His player comparison, by the way, is Carson Schlesinger. I can get 2 Carson Schlesingers? Okay. So we'll get to that a little bit later. We'll swing back with the show next week, talk about free agency and kind of reassess. In the meantime, make sure you are following me on X and the show on X at SickPodBrowns, at Andy MC81. That's why you're going to find all my the sporting news articles. We're touching everything Browns. Trade rumors, free agency, draft, combine, all that stuff. Sporting news on X at AndyMC81, Instagram and TikTok at AndyMCSports. Big thanks to my guy, John Vogel on Twitter at DraftVogel, talking NFL Combine, to producer Jimmy, to all of you. Hit me up on social. Who do you want the Browns to draft at 6 and 24? Let me know. Follow the channel. Until next time, go Browns!
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Andy McNamara on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.